Have you ever noticed that when someone tries to destroy you and you simply refuse to fight back, their life begins to fall apart? It's not a coincidence. It's not just bad luck. And it is certainly not magic. What you are witnessing is a biological and spiritual law in motion, a law as real as gravity. Most people think that turning the other cheek is an act of weakness. They think it means lying down and letting the enemy win. But they are wrong, dead wrong. When you understand the neuroscience of the Bible, specifically the technology hidden in Romans chapter 12, you realize that your silence is not surrender. Your silence is a weapon so radioactive that the human brain of your enemy literally cannot handle it. Welcome to the Neuro-Ricochet Effect. Today, we are going to perform a deep autopsy on the mind of those who attack the chosen. We are going to show you, scientifically, why revenge is a waste of your energy. Because when you step back and you let the protocol of God take over, you trigger a self-destruct sequence in the mind of your accuser that is far more devastating than anything you could do with your own hands. If you have ever been slandered, betrayed, or targeted by someone who seems obsessed with your downfall, this message is your clearance. It is your permission to stop fighting, because the battle was never yours to begin with. Before we open the manual on this biological warfare, I need to know who is in the room with me. If you are done fighting flesh and blood, and you are ready to operate in high-level spiritual strategy, go to the comments right now. I want you to type one simple command: I am the storm. Type it now. I am the storm. Because by the end of this video, you will understand that the storm isn't something that happens to you. It is something that happens to them when they crash into your peace. Let's begin with the mechanism. Why does an enemy attack you in the first place? To understand their collapse, you must first understand their addiction. Psychologically speaking, a person who targets a chosen one, someone walking in purpose and authority, is driven by a dopamine deficiency. They look at your light, your movement, your blessing, and it triggers a spike of cortisol, the stress hormone in their brain. Your very existence irritates their demons. So they attack, they gossip, they lie, they provoke. Why? Because they are desperate for a payoff. In neuroscience, we call this the reward prediction error. Their brain predicts a reaction. They expect you to get angry. They expect you to defend yourself. They expect you to see you bleed, cry, or argue. If you react, you give them a hit of dopamine. You validate their existence. You complete the circuit. But what happens when the protocol of Romans chapter 12 is activated? The scripture says, "Do not repay anyone evil for evil." If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone.
This is not just moral advice. This is a tactical disruption of the enemy's neural circuitry. When they strike you with a lie and you respond with silence, when they betray you and you respond with peace, you deny them the dopamine hit they were addicted to. But here is where it gets dangerous for them. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transferred. When they throw a ball of negative energy at you and you refuse to catch it, that energy does not disappear, it ricochets. It bounces off your shield of faith, which is biologically your regulated prefrontal cortex, and it goes straight back into their own system. This brings us to the first biological consequence of touching God's anointed, the mirror neuron crisis. Humans are wired with mirror neurons. These are brain cells designed to mimic the emotions of the people around us. Usually this helps us bond, but for an enemy, it is a trap. When they look at you with hatred, their mirror neurons are searching for hatred in your face to reflect back. But if you are walking in the Spirit, if you are truly dead to the flesh, they don't find hate, they find a void. They find an unnatural, terrifying peace. This creates a massive dissonance in their brain. The reality they see, your peace, conflicts with the reality they want, your pain. This conflict releases a toxic cocktail of neurochemicals in their brain, adrenaline, norepinephrine, without a release valve. They literally begin to poison themselves with their own malice. While you are sleeping like a baby, they are awake, grinding their teeth, their bodies inflamed by the very weapon they formed against you. Are you starting to see the picture? You thought you were losing because you didn't fight back, but in reality you were letting them consume themselves. If this is hitting home for you, do me a favor, hit the like button right now. Not for the algorithm, but as a signal that you are receiving this truth. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click that button. We are building a legion of minds that cannot be manipulated. Join us. Now that we understand the mechanism, that your peace is actually a mirror that reflects their darkness back onto them, we need to look at the damage this causes. The Bible warns us it is a dreadful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. But how does this falling look in the natural world? How do you know the neuro-ricochet is working? There are specific, observable signs that the person attacking you has entered a state of spiritual and biological decay. We're going to break down the 3 stages of the collapse, because once you see these signs, you will never be tempted to seek revenge again. You will almost feel sorry for them.
We have established the mechanism. When you do not react, you become a mirror. You force their brain to process its own toxicity. But what does this look like in the real world? How do you know the neuro-ricochet has begun? You don't need to guess. The symptoms are visible. When a person touches God's anointed, when they violate the protocol of peace, their biology begins to malfunction in 3 distinct stages. We call this the decomposition of the enemy. Let's analyze stage 1, the cortisol intoxication. The Bible says in Proverbs 28:1, "The wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion." For centuries, theologians thought this was a metaphor. Neuroscience tells us it is a literal description of a hijacked amygdala. When your enemy attacks you and you respond with the silence of Romans 12, their brain enters a state of unresolved threat. Because they didn't get the reaction they expected, their brain assumes you are planning something bigger. They think you are hiding a weapon, but the weapon is just your peace. This uncertainty triggers the HPA axis, hypothalamus pituitary adrenal. Their body is flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone. Now listen closely. This is where the justice of God becomes biological. Cortisol is designed for short bursts, fight or flight. But because you aren't fighting back, the war never ends in their mind. They stay in high alert mode, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This chronic toxicity begins to erode their hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and emotional regulation. This is why you will see them start to lose it. You might have heard that people who mess with chosen ones experience sudden misfortunes. Deals fall apart, cars break down, they lose their keys, they miss important flights. People call this karma. We call it cognitive blindness. When the brain is drowning in cortisol, the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain, responsible for logic and strategy, shuts down. It goes offline. They literally become less intelligent. They lose the ability to spot risks. They lose the ability to foresee consequences. So they make stupid decisions. They sign contracts they shouldn't sign. They say things to their boss they shouldn't say. They invest in scams they would normally avoid. The curse is not magic. The curse is that they have lost their connection to wisdom. By attacking you, they disconnected from the source of order, and now they are navigating life with a broken compass. You are sitting at home, praying, drinking your coffee. Meanwhile, their life is unraveling, not because you cursed them, but because they are trying to run a complex life with a brain that is biologically broken by its own hatred. Have you seen this happen?
Think about someone who tried to harm you in the past. Did you notice them making strange mistakes? Did you see them losing things, forgetting things, or acting erratic? If you have witnessed this cognitive blindness, type "I have seen it" in the comments. Testify to the accuracy of the protocol.
This leads us to stage 2, the exposure of the shadow. Luke 8:17 promises us, "For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open." Again, this is not just spiritual, it is behavioral science. When an enemy is in stage 1, cortisol intoxication, they lose their social filter. We all have a mask. We all pretend to be nicer than we are. But maintaining that mask requires energy. It requires a functioning prefrontal cortex. Because their energy is being consumed by the obsession with you, they have no energy left to maintain their disguise with others. The nice guy act fails. The loyal employee act fails. The perfect spouse act fails. They become irritable. They snap at people who have nothing to do with the situation. They start leaking their true nature to the world. This is the moment you have been waiting for. You don't need to expose them. You don't need to post screenshots. You don't need to tell your side of the story. You just need to wait. The Neuro-Ricochet Effect guarantees that they will expose themselves. They will betray the wrong person. They will lie when they don't need to. They will reveal their secret sins because they are too exhausted to hide them anymore. The light that is in you is brighter than the darkness in them. And when they try to extinguish your light, they inadvertently shine a spotlight on their own shadows. Everyone around them starts to ask, "What is wrong with him lately? Why is she acting so crazy?" The answer is simple. They touched a chosen one, and the voltage is too high for their system. But be warned, when they reach this stage, when they realize they are losing control, they enter the most dangerous phase of all, stage 3. This is where most people break the protocol and lose the battle. You must be prepared for what comes next. Have you ever noticed that the people who attack you seem tired? Not just need a nap tired, but soul tired. They often complain of chronic fatigue, brain fog, or a heaviness that they can't shake off. In the spiritual community, people say they tried to drain your energy, but they couldn't. In neurotheology, we know exactly what happened. It is called a dopaminergic crash. Hate is a high-energy emotion. It burns glucose in the brain faster than any other state. Sustaining a campaign against a chosen one requires massive amounts of mental fuel. They are constantly stalking your profile, crafting lies, recruiting allies, and rehearsing arguments in the shower. When you gave them a reaction in the past, you fed them. Your anger was their fuel. But now that you have activated the silence protocol, the fuel line is cut. But here's the catch. Their brain is still revving at 100 miles per hour, trying to destroy you. Without your energy to feed off, their system turns cannibalistic. It starts eating its own reserves. They enter a state of anhedonia. This is a medical term for the inability to feel pleasure. Food loses its taste. Music loses its rhythm. Success feels empty. Why? Because their dopamine receptors are fried from the obsession with you. They might be on vacation in a beautiful place, but they cannot enjoy it, because their spirit is trapped in a war room that you already walked out of. While you are sleeping in peace, recharging your divine battery, they are staring at the ceiling, drained by a phantom war. They wanted to steal your light. Instead, they short-circuited their own system. It's almost tragic, isn't it? If you're understanding for the first time why your enemies look so exhausted, type "access denied" in the comments. Let them know that your energy is no longer available for consumption.
And finally, we arrive at the most devastating phase. Stage 4, the spiritual quarantine. The source material warns us, their life will be spiritually blocked. Relationships fail, businesses stall, prayers hit the ceiling. Is God punishing them? Or is it the reticular activating system, RAS? The reticular activating system is the filter in your brain that decides what you see and what you ignore. It is your opportunity hunter. When you are aligned with God, love, peace, truth, your RAS is programmed to spot blessings. You see open doors, you see solutions, you see favor. But when a person is fixated on destroying an anointed one, their RAS is reprogrammed for threat and malice. They become biologically blind to blessings. God could send $1 million their way, but they wouldn't see it because their brain is scanning for your failure instead of their success. This is why their life feels blocked. It's not that the universe stopped sending gifts, it's that their receiver is broken. Isaiah 59:2 says, "But your iniquities have separated you from your God. Your sins have hidden his face from you, so that he will not hear you." This separation is the ultimate consequence. They are in quarantine. The universe isolates them to prevent their infection from spreading. Deals don't go through. Sure things collapse at the last minute. New relationships turn toxic immediately. Why? Because they are vibrating at the frequency of destruction, and you cannot build a kingdom life with a spirit of destruction. While you are ascending, they are stuck in a loop of their own making. And the most terrifying part? They don't know how to stop. They think if they just hit you one more time, they will feel better, but they won't. So what is the end game? Is there any hope for them? And more importantly, what happens when they finally realize that you were the blessing they tried to destroy? The finale is coming, and it involves a twist that neither of you expects. We have watched them collapse biologically. We have seen their energy drain and their blessings get blocked. But there is one final stage in this autopsy. Stage 5, the loss of influence. The source material puts it perfectly. In attempting to suppress someone destined to shine, they lose their own power. This is the Gamaliel principle. In Acts chapter 5, the Pharisee Gamaliel warned the council about attacking the apostles. He said, "If this purpose is of human origin, it will fail. But if it is from God, you will not be able to stop these men. You will only find yourselves fighting against God." When an enemy attacks you, they think they are destroying your reputation, but biologically and socially, they are committing suicide. Why? Because people are naturally attracted to light, growth, and peace. People are naturally repelled by bitterness, obsession, and chaos.
The more they talk about you, the more they look unstable. The more you stay silent, the more you look regal. It is an energetic law. Authority flows to the one who is most in control of their emotions. By losing control to try and hurt you, they inadvertently hand over their authority to you. They shrink, you expand. They become the crazy one, you become the chosen one. It is inevitable. And finally, when the dust settles, comes the great regret. This is the part where you might actually feel pity for them. Eventually, the cortisol fog lifts, the anger runs out of fuel, and they are left with the cold, hard truth. They realize that you were not their enemy, you were their door. Chosen ones are often sent into people's lives as catalysts to help them grow, to heal them, to bless them. You were a package of divine favor delivered to their doorstep. But because of their insecurity, because of their demons, they returned the package. They set fire to the bridge they were supposed to cross. The missed blessing is the heaviest punishment of all. They have to live with the knowledge that they pushed away the very person who was sent to elevate them. They will watch you rise from a distance. They will see you succeed.
They will see you happy, and they will know, deep down in their soul, that they could have been part of that victory. But now, they are just a spectator in the cheap seats. So, what do you do now that you know the science of their collapse? Now that you know your silence is a nuclear weapon? You go back to your life. You go back to your purpose. You stop checking their page. You stop asking about them. You stop worrying. Let the cortisol do its work. Let the mirror neurons handle the justice. Let the God of Romans 12 fight the battle. You have a destiny to fulfill, and you cannot afford to waste one more microgram of dopamine on someone who is already defeated by their own biology. This is the neurotheology of justice. The battle is over, and you have already won. If this video rewired your perspective today, I have one last assignment for you. Do not just watch this, activate it. Click the subscribe button right now. We are building the strongest spiritual intelligence unit on YouTube, and I want you in the ranks. And finally, go to the comments and type the declaration that ends this cycle forever. God has cleared my path. Type it, believe it, walk in it. The enemy is in the rear view mirror, full speed ahead.